Josh Jarkowski and Casey Young Andreas here with Streetlight Angels Podcast. We are a podcast dedicated to essentially getting the children back to a time frame where they have the ability to go out into the streets until the streetlights come on. That's what we're really trying to do, right, Casey?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, so what we're really talking about now is a no holds barred, no pulled punches podcast, to where we essentially talk about anything and everything we want to talk about. We don't have any politic views in this. We don't have, any woke or BLM or white power or any of that stuff involved into our podcast. So it's really just us, a man and a woman, somebody like me and someone like her, just talking about anything and everything we want to talk about. Give me some examples, Case, that we're going to be talking about.
Bringing safety and awareness back, bringing mindfulness back for our homes, our parents, our children, things going on within the school system, things that we can change as a society that we've just been so quiet about and have allowed to get to this point, and bringing the safety back to our children so that they can be kids again.
That's right. Bringing the safety back to the kids. Are you kidding me? We're in a nation now where we're literally designated in a podcast to talk about something so important. Where are our priorities? That's what we're looking at now. Look at everybody's priorities now. Look at everybody's intentions and their thought process. If people are constantly thinking about irrelevant or unrelated things that actually is going to benefit themselves and us. And so we're going to shed light on a lot of that stuff. We're going to give the speakers the opportunity to be able to, email us directly and tell us, opinions and views and things that they want to speak about that they just may not have the voice for. And so we're going to use them and their voice and listen to it and then project that here on this podcast for everyone else to hear and to discuss. And ultimately that's what it's about, is we're not going to allow ourselves to deviate from the original purpose. We're not going to allow ourselves to change the dynamic of the original purpose of this, and that is, to make it to where we are a society and a community and a nation to allow our children to go out and enjoy themselves and play until the streetlights come on, and give us the sense of comfort as parents, as guardians, to allow them to do that and let us be safe and more.
The cliche word would be we need to form our villages again. We need to form our communities again so that we can bond together. And society has changed so much in the last few years where parents are having to work. Some families don't even have the option any longer of mom staying home. So, in a household where single parents are working, both parents are working, our kids are without us so much during the day that there's so many influences coming in, so many things that are trying to conform their point of views. And so it's about taking that power back and really having that village and that community within our neighborhoods, within our own communities, to create that safety.
That's right. And so we're not here to shove, anything down anybody's throats. We're not, when I say we're no holds barred, we don't pull our punches. We're going to talk about anything and everything. So we're going to be completely open and transparent about, maybe our opinions, maybe our feelings, and with what's happening right now. And you have very cultivated people that would like to be able to express their feelings and just don't have the voice. And we're going to give that, right? So for the listeners, just understand that, this is for you just as much as it is for anybody else, more so for you. and it's a great platform for us to be able to do that. And it almost seems like, we have a lot of people that are constantly talking about things that are irrelevant, right? So there are a lot of podcasters out there. There's a lot of TV shows, and damn, the news. Like, are you kidding me with the news? Like, they just shove in what they think that you need to hear in there, faces and ears and eyes, and trying to force you into certain directions, and possibly, but we're not about that. We want to shed light on that stuff, because if we're aware of the things that are happening, right, in our society and in the nation, and we're aware of that and the issues, like the pure problems, it's awareness would be number one, to acknowledge it, and then getting educated on it, right? So then we would talk about that, and that's what we're going to do. Or we'll talk about maybe the educational piece, not from me, not from from Casey, but from you all, on the education of it all, and allow us to exploit that, right?
Well, and by bringing the awareness and education to people, we can also help come up with ideas on how to fix this, how to change things. Mm-hmm. It's not just about finding the things that we need to fix. We're not trying to create a negativity. We're trying to create solutions. And so by being able to pull in different points of view and different guest speakers on this podcast, we'll be able to give back some insight on maybe small changes that we can make at home, changes that we can make in the school systems, changes that we can make in society as a whole, or just things that we can do as individuals to make this better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, and we're not scared to be personal on this, For example, me, I'm active duty military currently, and I have my rules and stuff that are set in place that I am allowed to do and am not allowed to do, and I will abide by those. However, I will push that envelope to be able to discuss what we need to discuss as a nation, and so as a neighbor, and essentially help each other through these obstacles and speed bumps that we have going on for us. So when I say that, I'm a father of two. I'm married. I've been married for 11 years. And I'm still working through all kinds of crazy stuff with her and my boys. I'm learning every day from them. They're learning from me. And that's one of those things that, is very important to me about this podcast is I really want everybody to have a voice so that I can essentially allow my kids or feel comfortable about my kids coming into the future and not having problems, not having to deal with this bull crap that we're all dealing with right now. With everything, with the economy and people's hurt feelings and not being able to really be who you are or who you want to be just because of an assumption or an opinion or a standard that you think you should live based on other crap. Like, to me, it's disgusting. Like, everyone should be able to have their own life. I'm a believer that you only got one of them. You only got one life. Why would you waste that, worrying about other people? Why would you waste that worrying about opinions? Why would you waste that? And not only that, why would you waste the ability to be with your children and allow them to grow based on other people's opinions and other people's, feelings? Like, so tired of it, and that's really what it's about. It's going to be a little aggressive, and we hope you guys can, bear with us and stick it out with us. But ultimately, we're going to revert back, always at the end to get us to the point where we're talking about the fundamental root of getting our children to be able to play outside until the streetlights come on, right, Case?
Absolutely. And I can offer a different perspective on that. I'm a single parent. I do have 3 daughters. 2 of them are in public school. My youngest is special needs and in a private school. So I have different perspectives on different angles that I can offer as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And you got that civilian kind of, corporate lifestyle that you've always had your whole life. You're an entrepreneur, right? You have a business up in Tennessee. Yeah. And you're also an event coordinator, and you're pumping out like a lot of, that style of living. Meanwhile, I'm active duty military. Now, granted, I'm an entrepreneur myself. I have 2 companies, for-profit and nonprofit, and, Angel Force Foundation and Angel Force Protection, which we'll talk about, I'm sure, many episodes down the road here. But ultimately, we're trying to get everybody to understand this, that we're going to meet every criteria that everyone wants us to meet, and we're not going to be a bias about it. So if you come at us and you say, hey Josh, I heard your podcast that first day, I would really love to talk about this. XYZ, and we're going to say, all right, you want to talk about XYZ? How about we talk about Y? Because X may be a little too much, and Z, just not a conversation that's going to, help us get to the point where we need to get to.
Right.
And that we'll run polls for everybody, allow them to decide which conversation that we want to talk about next. Obviously, we'll take anybody's, voice and go through those and see whether or not they're legit. And let's say you have something you want to talk about that's a little aggressive. We will maybe get more information from you on that, or we'll tell you no and the reason why. We're not gonna pull our punches. If you come at us with some childish crap that's gonna do nothing but waste time, we're not gonna talk about it. All right. So hear us out on that. We're also normal humans, and we've got things going on. So think about it, y'all. We've recorded a few hours already. This is another recording that we're doing that's, helping us get to the very first episode, final cut scene. And so what I mean by we're normal humans is we've got schedules. And we have work to do, and we've got things that we need to take care of. And we have babies that we need to pick up and send to school, and have them go to these their sports events. And then we've got other jobs that we need to help other people with their fires that they got that need to get put out. So we're a little bit of everywhere into everything, and so that's going to be one of our biggest things, is to look at your guys's. We're going to need your opinion. And we're going to need your ideas. And we have a billion ideas to talk about, but we want yours specifically, right?
So with that, contact information for us. If you want to be on the podcast, you want to give your voice, you want to offer something to this. If you want to be a guest speaker on here, what's our email, Josh? Where people can contact and just get in touch with us to say, hey, I want to come on this podcast. I'd love to speak, and I'd love to offer an insight to this.
Yeah, Angel Force Foundation at gmail.com.
We also have Streetlight Angels Podcast at gmail.com.
Streetlight Angels Podcast at gmail.com. That's our numero uno, our get to. We're going to be building and establishing a website soon so that everybody could get on there and blog up, talk to each other, give us some reviews, tell us how trash we are, tell us how awesome we are. You're not going to hurt my feelings or hers, I'm sure. Just know we're probably going to laugh at you if you got some bad words to say. We don't really care about your feelings. We're going to say what we need to say to get us back to the point where I can trust the neighborhood and the community and the nation to let my children be grown into this lovely country we have.
Absolutely, where we can all trust.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
we can all come together.
That's right. We could do better. Yeah, we can do better. There's a lot of people out there running their mouths and doing stuff, and a lot of people out there are, lots of talk, no walk. Nobody's actually taking that extra step forward and doing it. And it's horrible because I can't show my kids that. You know what I mean? I can't allow or even see my children growing up in a world where everybody's just running their mouths and nobody's doing anything good about it. I don't remember it being like that when I was a kid. Do you?
Yes and no. I feel that there have always been good versus evil in the world. I know that with technology and the growth in technology, things have changed massively.
Yeah.
I think that has really helped to mold and shape young minds. I'm not saying that technology is a bad thing, because we use it every day. Cell phones, social media platforms, television. But if we go back through the decades, history repeats itself to an extent. And certain agendas are pushed through news stations. Agendas are pushed through television stations. Back in the 80s, there's no way that you would have seen some of the things that we have on TV now. However, some of the positives with that technology is, and this is going to be an unpopular thing possibly, but we can now look up pedophiles that are in neighborhoods. Technology can help us in so many ways to create safety. You have cameras in homes where if we are working, we can drop in on the kids and check in on them. But on the same token, not keeping an eye on the technology and not being actively present in what our kids are watching on YouTube, on TikTok, on Snapchat. There are so many things that are woven into these platforms that are seeping into our kids' brains and molding and shaping them. So I feel that has been a huge transition from when we were kids. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm closer to 40 than I am 30s now, and I didn't have a cell phone until I was about 15 years old. Mm-hmm. There were no real social media platforms. We had MySpace and AOL. Mm-hmm. So
AOL, yeah, I remember that. MySpace, Facebook when it first came out. Matter of fact, I had a friend create me a Facebook account back when it first started. I didn't know anything about it until it was like, it was already like going, but yeah, AOL, I remember. But yeah, I think technology is one of those, it's definitely one of those love-hates. I think it's very good educationally. I think that to use the education portion of the technology is amazing. Yes. To have resources at their fingertips is, I think, absolutely amazing.
Absolutely.
It's by unpopular opinion, like you said, we can see if there's a pedophile next door.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but they've always been there. That's the weird thing, right?
They have always been there.
But now we have the ability to see it, which scares us almost. Right?
Yes.
It makes us nervous. Now, here's the thing. Like, we have always had that. People may have already known it, but it was different back then. And why? It's because now we have fear instilled in us through this crap. So, and we also don't have trust in the community anymore. I believe the community is not trusting at all.
Well, because neighbors don't come out any longer like we used to. How many people can genuinely say that the names of your neighbors that are to your left, to the right, behind you, and in front of you? That's encompassing your home.
I just know across from me and to the left of me, that's it. And I've got neighbors that go all the way around me. But you're right, I don't know. And then plus, I could probably name only 2 people in my entire neighborhood, which is trash. It used to be back in the day where you could let your kids go out and your neighbor 5 blocks down or 3 roads down would hit you up and be like, hey, they'd be calling my parents. Hey, man, your kid's acting the fool over here. Come get them.
Actually, I do have that.
Yeah. Well, you have that in your neighborhood right now?
I do.
Oh, well, that's nice.
I don't know everyone. Mm-hmm. There are over 100 homes in my neighborhood. But on the back side, front, left, right, I know my neighbors, and I've actually had them call me and say, hey, I realize that your car's not in the driveway, mm-hmm. but your kids are ABC.
Yeah,
have you approved this? And I'm absolutely not. I'll be right there to take care of that.
Yeah.
And they were just baffled that even happened. But I have some of the best neighbors.
That's good. I don't. I mean, they may be amazing neighbors, but we don't communicate like that. You know what I mean? We don't have that.
How hard is it to walk next door and knock on someone's door and make them some cookies or some kind of dessert?
It's not hard. It's not hard.
Yeah, and just shake their hand. Hi.
Yeah, you're right. It's
I'm
not
Josh.
hard, but we don't do it. We've lost it. We lost that well before. And people blame COVID. Get out of here with the COVID crap. I just got over COVID. Did you? I know I just did. Again, for the fourth time. Like, yes. I'm so tired of the blaming COVID crap. Oh, those were COVID days. Like, man, shut up. We're going to keep going. We're going to keep pushing. And I'm not going to change the way my life was before or after. And no one else should. So stop using COVID as an excuse that, we're... Is that picking up on ours?
Yes.
Holy crap. We're going to have to be in like a sound booth. Like straight up. You guys hear that? You guys, does I wonder if anybody hears that.
Local.
I mean, I'm honest. We're sitting in a living room on a couch chilling, guys, if you guys didn't realize that by now. It lackadaisical. But back to what I was trying to say is.
So with that though, COVID created a lot of anxiety.
It crippled
people's minds.
It did.
And it did create a lot of fear and anxiety and panic.
It did.
But there were so many people that lost loved ones that, it wasn't just a cold for them. So
You're right, but so was the flu. People lose people from flus constantly.
And
pneumonia. All the time. We don't publicize that like they did COVID.
But this was a mass outbreak. And so the United States hasn't really seen that before.
It was weird because I was in Japan when COVID hit hard, and then I was also there when all the bull crap was coming on into the States.
Yes.
Like with all the riots and all the stupid people doing stupid crap all the time.
It's terrible.
Like I was looking at the news going, I'm not going back to the States. I'm an active duty Navy military member where all my whole life is to protect the freedom of this country. I didn't even want to come to this country. You know what I mean? I didn't even want to come to it. I've been to war zones, and I've done the dirty, but I didn't want to come back to the country I was born in because there was places that the streets were shut down and taken over by some random people. Like, are you kidding me? What kind of shenanigans was going on back there? Right. And then COVID hit and it was like, look at the sheep, Now COVID was, a sickness that nobody was using. What's funny? Is I read this on one of the Lysol bottles. It says
it's been around for
COVID's been around for years and years and years and years.
It has, but the issue with it was
the strand, right?
It mutated just like any cold does.
Mm-hmm. Well, what I'm saying is I think that it did. It crippled the nation into a point where now it crippled them so much they're using it as an excuse. You know what I mean? Now, there are a lot of very unfortunate events where people died because of COVID. But that is every day about everything.
Well, and also...
You can die walking across the street.
You can, but...
Come on.
It's also about instilling a sense of security back in the people, too.
True.
Because, let's be real. You could turn on the news... Radios, news stations, everything was so negative. Everyone's dying. Don't come out. Stay in your homes. It was just negative. So then after creating...
Isn't it still? I don't recall going on the news and actually seeing anything good these days. Do you?
I don't turn it on. If I'm being honest, I don't watch it. I choose not to. I can pull up current events where I live and current events in the world, but I do not turn on the news because of the negativity and the anxiety that it breeds.
It does. It's tough. My mom, she gets on there and she watches it every morning. She watches the stuff, and a lot of times she'll give me a lot of good stuff, but there's a lot of things that she sees on the news,
yes,
and then it affects her emotionally. Which in turn affects everyone around her emotionally because she'll be like, Josh, I need you to worry about this, this, and this.
Yes.
And I'm like, what? Come on, get out of here. You know what I mean? Or I'll be like, okay, well, I actually take, that seriously sometimes.
Yes.
But yeah, the news, holy cow, that's going to be an episode, probably 5 episodes straight on that one. But, I'm pretty sure, our listeners are going to have plenty to say about the news. But, that's not it. Like I said, it's not only just the news. Now we have the technology. We've got social media. We've got, very important people with very big listeners and crowds and people that actually follow them, and making decisions for people is irritating for me as well. So not only the news, but you also have these, who are they that are like, what are they called? The people that are influencers.
Yeah.
Right? So we have influencers, right?
Yes.
And so there are some really awesome influencers, don't get me wrong, like people, like influencers
Absolutely.
that are good and mean well. But then you've got ones that shouldn't be influencers that think they are. Well, they are influencers because the people that listen to them or follow them, you know what I mean, or look up to them, they're affecting very spongy minds.
Yes.
To include my kids. And I'm going to tell you right now, like this podcast, I'll call them out in a second if I've got somebody specific that I'm talking about. And I don't care. You know what I mean? Like if they're affecting my child's mind because of their, they're supposed to be singing music and bringing joy to people's lives, yet they're going to be talking about politics. You know what I mean? Like stay within your own realm. Stay within your own reach and your own life. Like if you want to have a voice, you have a voice, kind of like what we're doing right now, don't make it a biased voice. You tell these people that they can make their own decision.
Right. You
don't say, I'm going to make this, I choose this, and I want everybody to do it with me.
Right.
Like you're not a god, you're not a higher power, you're just a human being with a lot of social power as an influencer. Do not dictate or try to influence my children's brains into going into that direction.
Right.
You know what I mean? I don't even do that to my own children. My wife doesn't do that to her. We don't do that to our own kids. We allow them the ability to be able to grow on their own. Right. We give them the tools to allow them to grow on their own and make their own decisions. If it's a bad decision based on the views of
your morals and standards.
That's right. Absolutely. Good, positive morals and standards. Exactly. Then that needs to be discussed.
Yes.
But when it comes to, any of this other stuff, we're done. I'm so done with them. And this podcast right here, this is going to be my ability to be able to call them out on that crap. You know what I mean? And I'm going to be, obviously, if for the listeners, a little bit more aggressive than Casey is, I'm sure, when it comes to this, but I know you definitely have some opinion on that stuff. You have 3 beautiful little girls that are very,
impressionable.
Yes, extremely impressionable.
Absolutely.
And I don't see you in any way allowing anybody else to make heavy impressions on them to where it's going to affect their actual life in the future, right? No.
I've raised my girls to have good morals and values and standards. Now, do they always exercise that? No, they're children. However, for the most part, they're learning. They're learning themselves. They're learning to be. 2 of them are teenagers. They're young ladies. So, developing their mind, developing a way to make good, healthy decisions for themselves, I feel is extremely important, especially in society today. They go to school for 8 hours and then they have sports afterward. I may see them for a few hours before bedtime. So I'm fully on board with my children being able to make and me guiding them to help them along that path, but to make good decisions for themselves. Now,
sure.
My youngest child it's a little different for her, and that is something that I'm learning every day. She is high-functioning autistic, and so she has taught me in so many different ways how to love differently, how to communicate differently, how to just, how to even just have patience and not allow anxiety to take over. But with that, her beautiful mind analyzes so many things on a different level, and so she's learning as well. And I do feel that it's different for girls sometimes than it is boys, but at the same time finding a balance and teaching them to be mindful, to have their manners and to still have their voice.
That's right. Good positive morals allow them the ability to grow. And we don't need any background trash to help us, educate our children. You know what I mean? Trash is what I'm saying.
No,
Obviously,
that's where we can stand up and fight back now.
That's right. Absolutely. And that's what we're going to do. Right now, to this point, to this day, I don't feel comfortable with my kids going to ride their bikes outside by themselves.
No.
I don't.
Same.
Well, I'm tired of that. I'm so tired of that. I want my kids, when they get older and they have kids, I want my boys to be able to sit inside and relax and know that their children are safe when they're outside playing and enjoying themselves as children, right?
Yes.
So stay with us, y'all. This is what we're going to be talking about. This is the stuff that we are going to shed light on in here at Streetlight Angels Podcast. We are going to open up so many opportunities for people to voice their opinion and to raise awareness to the issues that we're having. And we're going to continue doing this, if anything, for our own benefit, to be able to just vent and get it out there and learn to grow from each other. And we highly encourage you all to do this with us. And we're so excited to be here doing this, and we're so excited for everyone to be a part of this with us. And we cannot wait to talk to you all again.
We urge you guys, if you want to be a part of this, if you want to have a voice, if you just want to shoot us an email, see if you can be a guest speaker, see if you can offer something to this. Streetlight Angels Podcast at gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you.